Have you ever had a moment where you knew something, but then you talked yourself out of it? Maybe your body told you no, but you said yes anyways. Maybe something didn't quite feel aligned, but you convinced yourself that it was fine. Maybe you sensed something about a person or a situation or a decision, and then you immediately questioned yourself. That doesn't mean that your intuition is broken. It means that it was interrupted. So today we're going to talk about the third eye chakra, and I don't mean psychic ability and spiritual vision. I mean self-trust, the ability to perceive clearly without overriding yourself. Hi everybody, I am Jackie Faber, and this is week 7 of my Trauma Healing and Integration series. So up until this point, we have built safety in the body, safety in your emotions, safety in your identity, safety in connection, and safety in expression. And from all of that emerges the third eye. Because intuition isn't something you develop by thinking harder. It is something that naturally comes available when your system is safe enough to listen. Before I go any deeper, I want you to reflect on this question. Do you trust your first internal signal? Or do you usually analyze it before you believe it? If you feel called to share, you can drop it in the comments. Now, your third eye chakra governs perception, insight, and inner knowing. It is the part of you that senses alignment before logic arrives. But for many people, trusting their perception didn't feel safe. You may have experienced environments where your reality was questioned or overridden or dismissed. Maybe you were told you were too sensitive or that you were overreacting, that things didn't happen the way that you think it did. Often, this is so subtle. Like gaslighting doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like consistent dismissal, being corrected about your feelings or having your instincts explained away. Over time, your nervous system adapts. Instead of trusting inner signals, it learns to check externally first. Is this valid? Is this acceptable? Will somebody else confirm this? So eventually your perception shifts from an inner knowing to an outward verification. And this is exactly where overthinking begins. It's not an intelligence. It is a compensation for a lack of self-trust. So one of the deepest identity patterns that forms with the third eye is I can't trust myself. And it rarely sounds this direct. It often shows up like second guessing your decisions, seeking constant reassurance, analyzing your feelings so much until they lose clarity, ignoring your subtle signals because they're not logical enough. The mind is jumping in and trying to do the job of perception. But perception is not analytical. It is sensory. It is felt. It is quiet, and it is often immediate. When your intuition gets overridden, the system replaces clarity with processing. And processing feels productive while it's slowly pulling you away from your inner knowing. Overthinking usually feels fast and urgent and like it's looping. It searches for certainty through repetition. But inner knowing is different. It is subtle and calm. It is often very brief. It arrives before the explanation. And the moment you try to prove it or justify it or argue with it, you actually disconnect from it. Intuition does not shout. It lands. So let's take a moment and bring it into the body. You don't have to close your eyes. You can just soften your gaze. Now take a slow breath in and out. Let's do that one more time. In and out. What feels true for you right now? Don't search for an answer. Just allow whatever arises to come up. Maybe it's a word. Maybe it's a sensation. Maybe it's just this subtle shift in your body. then notice what happens next. Does your mind jump in? Is it starting to explain, trying to question or justify? If it does, that is completely okay. But simply allow yourself to return to the first signal you received. Not to force it, but to acknowledge that it existed. Now simply offer yourself this. I can notice what I know without needing to justify it. Stay in this moment for a few breaths. This is exactly how intuition rebuilds, through recognition, not effort. Trusting your inner authority doesn't mean that you never consider logic or feedback. It means that your internal perception is allowed to exist before it is negotiated. Clarity does not need justification. Alignment does not need explanation. When the third eye is supported by the system underneath it, knowing becomes steady. It's not dramatic, it's not mystical, it's just clarity. And when your self-trust returns, your decision making becomes so much simpler. You don't rush, you don't overprocess, you don't override your own internal signals. You notice, you feel, and from that, clarity naturally emerges. And it's not because you just suddenly figured it out, it's because you stopped arguing with yourself. As we close this episode, ask yourself, does my mind and my body feel clear? Notice your mind and your body. Does anything feel quieter or clearer than it did before? If it did, I would love to hear what you're noticing in the comments. Next week, we move into the crown chakra, where all of your clarity expands into meaning and connection and grounded spirituality. I will see you over there.